Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Larry Lund. I'm Vice Chair of the Vancouver Art Gallery's Board of Trustees. Unfortunately, Alec Van of the Musqueam Nation is detained, so I would like to acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We are respectful of these Indigenous stewards of the land we occupy, whose rich cultures are fundamental to the artistic life in Vancouver and to our work at the Vancouver Art Gallery. This is a momentous day for the Vancouver Art Gallery and for arts and culture in the city, in British Columbia, and across Canada. We're delighted to share with you, in a few minutes, some very exciting news about the gallery's future. As you know, we've been working closely with all levels of government, donors, and advocates in the community to realize the Vancouver Art Gallery's new building. We are thrilled to have so many of our partners and supporters here today, including key government officials whose support is vital to this project. I'd like to acknowledge the Mayor of Vancouver, Kennedy Stewart. We are immensely grateful to the city, who has been a steadfast partner all along, including their designation of a parcel of land in Warlow Park in 2014. I'd also like to acknowledge the Honorable Lisa Baer, Minister of Tourism, Arts, and Culture. The gallery appreciates the province's early gift, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and the government to realize the new building. Also, we want to welcome Dr. Hetty Fry, Member of Parliament for Vancouver Centre, and Randeep Sharat Rai, Member of Parliament for Surrey Centre, both of whom have been strong champions of the gallery in Ottawa. Thank you. So thanks all of you for your support and joining us this morning. I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend my personal thanks to my fellow trustees for their leadership, our visionary director, and of course, our dedicated staff for their time, effort, and passion as we move toward a vision for the Vancouver Art Gallery's new building. I'm also grateful to each of you in this room, our longtime supporters and friends. And now I'd like to introduce Lisa Turner, my colleague on the Gallery's Board of Trustees and the co-chair of our capital campaign. Lisa?
Thank you, Larry. This is a super exciting moment, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to use my notes, but just delighted to have so many people in the room. We have many distinguished guests here today, and we're extraordinarily excited to share a significant milestone in our capital campaign for the Vancouver Art Gallery's new building. This moment, and I want everyone to recognize this is a profound moment, is a result of overwhelming community and philanthropic support for this project. It is truly one of the most exhilarating times in the history of the Vancouver Art Gallery. So it is my pleasure, along with all members of the Vancouver Art Gallery community, to announce that the Chan family has pledged a gift of $40 million to name the new iconic building designed by Herzog de Meuron. So we were very pleased to share the name of the Chan Center for the Visual Arts. So thank you again, Christian, and your extraordinary family. This gift, this exceptionally generous donation, is the single largest private donation ever given to an arts or cultural institution, organization in British Columbia. This is philanthropy at its core, touching on the true essence of public good and civic engagement. We are so deeply grateful for this landmark donation from the Chan family, who I'm sure you agree is held in extremely high regard in our community, and for very good reason. Over multiple generations, they have committed to enriching urban communities for the benefit of all. The Chan family is passionate about Vancouver's cultural diversity and global character, and their vision for arts and culture is expansive and humanitarian. Christian Chan, my fellow trustee, is a champion of arts in the city, a lover of architecture, and an exceptional steward of his family's legacy. Of course, projects of this scale are driven by generous support of many donors. So today we are thrilled to recognize other members of the community for their leading gifts of $1 million or more in support of the new building. Several of them are here today, and I would like to ask each donor to please stand as you are named. For their commitment of $5 million, David Eisenstadt. Jill Diamond on behalf of the Diamond Foundation for the naming of the new Diamond Theatre at the Vancouver Art Gallery. Brian Hill and Andrea Thomas Hill, and Phil Lind. If Pamela and David Richardson could stand for their commitment of $3 million to name the library, the Pamela and David Richardson Library in the New Vancouver Art Gallery. For their commitments of $2 million, Marietta Hurst, the Ken Wally family, $1.5 million, the BMO Financial Group. For their commitments of $1 million, Jane Irwin and Ross Hill. Miles, Larry, and Maureen Lunn and Connor Clark Lunn Foundation. Nadia and Mark Mache. The TD Bank Financial Group. A donor who wishes to remain anonymous. And it's a very deep honor for myself and my husband, Terry Turner, to be among this esteemed group of donors. Of this wellspring of support, we have now reached $85 million It's truly extraordinary. I mean, we're in a timeless moment here. So to each one of you donors, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have believed in this project from day one. Your passion is vital to its success. All of us at the Vancouver Art Gallery are humbled and truly humbled by your extraordinary acts of generosity. Speaking on behalf of our honorary capital campaign chairs, Gordon and Leslie Diamond, and my campaign co-chair, Jane Irwin, and all of us at the gallery, I'd also like to acknowledge all three levels of government whose representatives are here today to celebrate these leading philanthropic citizens to our community. Thank you. It is now- It is now my great honor and privilege and pleasure to welcome my fellow trustee, Christian Chan.
In 1997, our family made a commitment to enhancing cultural infrastructure in British Columbia with the establishment of the Chan Centre for Performing Arts at UBC. At the time, I was just a 14-year-old kid, more interested in BB guns, firecrackers, and the Foo Fighters than I was in world music or symphony orchestra. Yet, despite my youth, the significant and positive impact of this meaningful contribution and our family's meaningful imperative mandate to give back to the community was not lost even on me. Fast forward 22 years, and after having matured just a tiny bit, we are here today. My family and I have been engaged in rewarding conversations with the leadership of the Vancouver Art Gallery over the last year regarding the incredible opportunity to support this vital civic project. I want to thank everyone for being here today, for the announcement and celebration of this exciting and pivotal milestone in the evolution of our great city and province. The new Vancouver Art Gallery will unequivocally contribute in an exceptionally profound way by providing a much-needed and purposeful venue for the arts, culture, education, community, and civic life. We are honored to be able to participate in a project that will provide such vast public benefit while also fitting so well within our family's intergenerational charitable mandate. It's hard to deny the importance of the arts in a world that seems increasingly divided. The need for healthy social dialogue, broader cultural understanding, and enlightened critical thinking is as crucial now as it's ever been. And the importance of opportunities to unite with each other and celebrate diversity is paramount. The arts have this power. Furthermore, museums play an essential role as caretakers of our country's heritage and identity, safeguarding and showcasing cultural assets of international significance. And that's exactly what the Vancouver Art Gallery does. An institution that's charged with this indispensable role deserves a purpose-built facility, and one with design and functionality that's commensurate with its great responsibility. Today, we are one big step closer to making that a reality in Vancouver. The reach of the gallery's critical programming throughout our community is wide-reaching and multifaceted. Social interaction, education, perspective-taking, emotional connection, creative expression, these are all integral components to a healthy society, and these are all things that will come with the new Vancouver Art Gallery. And what an honor to be working with the firm of Herzog de Meuron, masters of their craft with a unique ability to weave form with function. I've had the privilege of visiting a number of the firm's projects, and let me tell you, starting with a commanding presence from afar, to the sensory experience upon approach, through to the presentation of the programming on the interiors, my encounters with their projects have been nothing short of absolutely inspiring and utterly delightful. The new Vancouver Art Gallery will be no exception. As a cornerstone in our city's urban fabric, and a place that welcomes and inspires all, regardless of race, age, gender, profession, political bias, spiritual beliefs, or socioeconomic status, the gallery will be at the heart of cultural and civic life in Vancouver, serving the entire public. This is why we are so proud to be part of this tremendous endeavor. Our family sees ourselves as stewards of charitable resources, charged with a mission to promote equal opportunity for all people to nurture a healthier mind, body, and soul. For several generations, we have had the privilege of supporting organizations and causes related to education, healthcare, wellness, arts, and culture around the globe. In 2017, we had the honor of celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Chan Centre for Performing Arts at UBC. Last year, we marked 5 years of supporting emerging artists and art in the public realm through programming at the Burrard Arts Foundation. And this year, we are so proud to commit one of the most significant contributions we have ever made in support of a new Vancouver Art Gallery building with the Chan Center for the Visual Arts. We are here today because of our family's unwavering belief that this facility will both comprehensively accomplish our charitable mission, as well as further the betterment of our community in an absolutely extraordinary manner. I'd like to thank all of the donors for their support of the project, and I would like to especially thank my father Caleb, my uncle Tom, our entire family, and the external trustees of our charitable foundations, both here and abroad, for their belief in and support of this project, without which we would not be able to make this incredible commitment to the city and people of Vancouver and to Canada. Thank you. We have a small video for you guys right now, so sit back and enjoy it, please.
And Hank came to the office, and we were talking about this Vancouver Art Gallery project, and he said something that really resonated with me, is that he said, you know, the art museum or the gallery is really a hospital for the soul. I think art is an area that will bring a lot of minds and people together, because you know, this world right now is full of turmoil. There are so many things that can pull people apart, but the arts, that is a neutral ground that people can come together.
The arts are agnostic to gender, race, nationality, political affiliation, and you know, it really is an even playing field for social discourse, for you know, different perspectives.
Understanding is just really the sort of the goal, and through expressive communication and creative output, the art gallery will offer opportunities for artists around the world to share their perspectives and give us all an opportunity to hear what other people have to say.
I think sometimes in Vancouver, sort of the broad social and public benefit of the Vancouver Art Gallery is overlooked. I know personally from a very young age, the Vancouver Art Gallery played a really important role in my personal development. My most impactful memory was going to an Andy Warhol exhibition. I remember the rotunda was wallpapered in a cow, Andy Warhol's cow series. And you know, it really was one of the first times that I viewed Vancouver as part of an international stage or international setting.
The philanthropic spirit has always been a value that has underlined our family systems. And living with my grandparents during high school, I really experienced my grandfather's sort of humbleness and his need to give back to the community.
We see ourselves as stewards of resources that are entrusted with us. And so to be able to direct those resources to such a meaningful project that will reach so many people locally and internationally is an immense privilege.
Now it's going to be a hub really for people to gather and people to share ideas and celebrate their diversity and you know, find their identity.
I think this project fits perfectly into our family's charitable philosophy and mandate. You know, we have a really important intergenerational charitable mission, which is to create equal opportunity for everyone to enjoy and nurture a healthy body, mind, and soul. And so this Vancouver Art Gallery project really speaks to that.
You know, it's going to extend beyond our generation and my kids' generation in that this building is going to be there for another 100 years or beyond. And it's really going to contribute to the community of Vancouver and to the culture of Vancouver.
Well, I think having a purpose-built facility for the arts will immensely and exponentially broaden the reach of the gallery's educational program. It already does an incredible job of serving the public, be it young or old, and obviously with the new structure that will only grow. The architects Herzog and de Meuron have proven themselves to be the ultimate professionals and experts when it comes to combining the needs of this institutional programming with beautiful architecture and form.
For the next 100 years, Vancouver is going to have that special place to celebrate life, to celebrate their people's culture, and to really bring together the people of Vancouver and around the world.
Christian, my heartfelt thank you. This is a very emotional day for all of us, but for me as well. As the director of the gallery, I just want to express how honored and inspired we are by you and your family's tremendous generosity and your philanthropic passion for enriching our community. Your leadership is deeply felt by all of us, not only in the arts, but also in health and education, urban renewal, and social enhancement. The unprecedented gift to the Vancouver Art Gallery demonstrates a profound investment in the future of the city and the province. We are overwhelmingly grateful. I would like to extend my deepest thanks to everyone that is here today. This announcement, I think, shows that the Vancouver Art Gallery is so very fortunate to be supported by our community. And we are delighted each and every one of you are here today. My deepest thanks as well to the city for their designation of land, to the province for their early seed gift, to our lead donors, and to all of our contributors to the capital campaign. It's because of your collective belief and commitment that our vision for the new Vancouver Art Gallery's new building is becoming a reality. This will be the most important project of a generation and a model of true civic leadership. The Vancouver Art Gallery's new building will be a creative gathering place in the heart of the city, one that will significantly contribute to our thriving cultural and civic ecology and meet the needs of our growing and diverse audiences. It will be a dynamic space that will dramatically increase the size and scope of our robust historical and contemporary exhibitions, as well as greatly enhance our ability to show the gallery's expansive permanent collection, which reveals the evolution of more than 2 centuries of art making in Canada within an international context. The new building will also include an education center comprising much needed classrooms, a state-of-the-art resource center, library, and archive, and a dynamic 350-seat theater that will allow for substantial growth of the gallery's programs and significantly extend our reach across the province. I think as most of you know, the Vancouver Art Gallery has a long history of vigorously supporting artists from Vancouver and British Columbia. The new building will allow us to extend our commitment to our thriving contemporary art scene, our internationally renowned artists, and their unique ways of seeing the world. And it will play a vital role in cementing this city as one of the world's foremost centers for art and culture. Our goal ultimately is to provide all of our visitors with an amazing experience of art that is unique in the world and can only happen here. Along with today's announcement of the generous philanthropic gifts from the Chan family and our other leading donors, we are also delighted to share with you the final designs for the Vancouver Art Gallery's new building. Since the release of the conceptual design in 2015, we've evolved our vision for the new building to reflect extensive research and stakeholder and community engagement in collaboration with our design architects, Herzog de Meuron. Together, we have advanced the design to be a sculptural, iconic, and accessible building. We are so pleased that Christine Binswanger and Simon DeMuse of Herzog de Meuron are back in Vancouver on this momentous day to share the final designs. As many of you know, Herzog de Meuron are renowned for their inventive, responsive designs that not only effectively meet the needs of their users, but transform entire cities, becoming part of their cultural DNA. They have completed a series of internationally acclaimed museums, including the Tate Modern in London, the De Young Museum in San Francisco, the Schaulager in Basel, and the soon-to-be-open M+ in Hong Kong. The Vancouver Art Gallery's new building will be their first project in Canada, and we are honored that that building will be called the Chan Center for the Visual Arts. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Christine Binswanger, partner in charge of Herzog de Meuron.
Hello. Well, it's a touching moment, as everybody before me said, but it's really true. Thank you, Kathleen. She's the one who hasn't been thanked yet for her incredible stamina in believing in this project. We have been in touch over many, many years to get to where we are now. Thank you, Christian, and all the other donors for giving us the opportunity to talk about this project again. We have not been working for about a year, and we're super excited to now take this up. Just as I'm trying to show you how the new design looks. Obviously, our belief is that it's not architecture that transforms the society, but everything that just has been said. Nevertheless, it needs a container, and that's what I'm trying to show you. Obviously, you all, or probably many of you, have been present in previous presentations. It's not a new project. It's a project that has been refined, that has been worked on over the years with people in Vancouver, with the community, the city, the gallery, of course, the Board of Trustees, that all have given their input, and of course also our local partners, Perkins and Will, and a lot of engineering firms that have been part of this journey. You see, the last year was spent on, doing what we're celebrating today. And as said, I'm excited to be able to continue with this project. I started the presentation with an image you have seen before as well. This really unbelievable moment when we were brought to Paraguay, when we were, from day one in this project, have been exposed to the artist community, to individuals who think about life and the society and art, and have a holistic approach to life, and that were so generous to share this with us. From the beginning, the notion of nature, the notion of wood was important for this project. It has been going in a further direction. We have had the chance to have incredible one-on-one contact with some of the artists of this region or of this province. Here, Christian White's work in his atelier. The importance of wood again as a material to do all kinds of things, amongst other. What you see here, of course, the wood being part of the building industry and wood being part of the reason why this city could grow in such an incredible pace at a certain time in the 19th century. So Vancouver was a low city. Vancouver was a city made out of wood, made out of small buildings close to one another. And Vancouver had public space. This is a picture of Royal Park in 1912, imagine. This is 100 years ago. And so obviously the Vancouver Art Gallery is super grateful, and so are we as their architects, that this piece of land was offered to them to create a new civic space with the Vancouver Art Gallery's new building, which is, as we know, much more than a building, is a project that is to a substantial degree a public space, outdoor. And that is what happened later. This picture is, I think, from 2010 or 2014. You know, if you show this development to people who are not familiar with it, it's just unbelievable. It's like as impressive a kind of nature than the first picture I showed. So the peninsula was growing over with high buildings, and not much public space has been kept in between them or dedicated and programmed, but there's distances between buildings. That's about it. So that's the wood portion, and then now we're getting to the glass portion, because as you maybe have already seen on the iPad of the Chan family, this building has now also a substantial component that is glass, and obviously this is it's a no-brainer. We're in the city of glass, and from this wooden sculpture that the project was, we transformed it into a building that combines the historic material of wood with the contemporary materiality of the city, which is glass. And so we're basically combining the two. We think the building got richer through that, has more layers. So there is an outer skin. Everything that is exposed to heavy rain gets this rain screen out of glass, whereas everything that is recessed, everything where the human body is exposed to, is wood. It didn't change its general attitude. I'll lead you through this in a second. You see on this picture, as on some others that will follow, that we always include a vision for Queen Elizabeth Plaza, which was an ask by the city, but is not anything that is decided. But as we did with the building, we keep hopes up, and we keep drawing an open space that is a kind of a entry space for the gallery as well. What you also see on all the representations on the as here on the left is that there is still that 1/3 portion of the land of the city block that does belong to the city and that will be given to development. We are just, like with QE Plaza, we simulate something that we think would make sense to buildings that have a passage in between that would still lead to the central plaza of the Vancouver Art Gallery. But again, it's the same thing. This is more a vision than a real project. So if we go into the project, the two main components are, this is a very low building, as it is a very high building. And the low component of this project is basically a wooden enceinte, a framing of the land of the portion of the block which is permeable, which is open space, which is public, and which offers itself to connect with the different neighborhoods of Vancouver, Gastown, Yaletown, and of course downtown. And at the same time, this low structure out of wood negotiates the topography. You all know it goes down on Georgia in this location. So inside we have a flat square, and outside the topography moves. In this frame, in this very low frame, is this high structure, this kind of sculptural stack of program components of the Vancouver Art Gallery, which is, as we heard, much more than just a gallery. And it's lifted up, so the building is lifted up from the ground in order to create that open space for everybody. That's the move number one. Secondly, the building is shaped in order to let the sun come down when it shines down onto this square under the building. And then thirdly, it acts as an umbrella. It protects us on days like yesterday, where it's actually, you know, compared to other places on the planet, still warm, but very wet. So it's a kind of a machine that allows the activation of public space around the building or around the site, as well as towards the inside to this unique courtyard. So here is a close-up where you see many things that I've just said. You see that the outer vertical skin of the building has turned into a glass skin, a glass skin that is made out of single small-scale elements. It's not a curtain wall with aluminum profiles as around, but it's a kind of homogeneous, three-dimensional, finely structured glass facade made out of wooden logs. I'll get to that in a second. It's the entry from Georgia Street, to the left the shop, to the right the skylight of the gallery that we will see afterwards from inside. Above that entry, this big window is where you change elevators, as since this is a very vertical building, we need to have powerful means to get people up. That's a situation there where the theater is. And you also see that although we brought glass as an outer material, the presence of wood is still equally there. And we think this is a very interesting combination. Once you're in the courtyard, now we're standing towards, in the direction of Dunsmuir. You see the sunken garden. You see an education space that is in this low structure that goes around the courtyard. And you see that the woodwork on this building is a very constructed work. Wood happens in small pieces, relatively small pieces compared to steel or concrete. It's made out of trees, right? So it's a combination of fine elements that are joined almost in a traditional way, and that on the right side you see that underside of the lifted structure, and you see the edge of these also fine elements of glass. So the logs were the inspiration when we decided to experiment with glass as an alternative to the previously full wood building. And we said we want to try what we can gain out of this element of glass. And so we started to explore and experiment and test the industry in what could be done with glass that has the shape of a log. And you see, this is a picture in our courtyard, in our studio. We tried different scales. We put it on a roof in order to see how it looks when you look from underneath, because this is not primarily a facade that is, one-on-one with the human body, but it's kind of looking up. And so we started to experiment on this idea of the log. We found elements actually that are industry, you can buy them, they go to a diameter of maybe a foot, that we could have just basically hung up there. But this exercise showed us that it would have been too fine a scale, and we were interested actually in the bigger scale that you see more to the left. So we started to actually work with the industry to produce these elements, these glass logs that have a diameter of about 50 centimeters. And we worked on reflectivity, on transparency. Obviously, this is not just glass, but sorry, I forgot to mention this. A lot of the appearance of that screen around the building will have to do with what is behind the glass. There's many different aspects to be thought of in terms of transparencies and reflection, of dirt behind it, etc., etc. So we're working with the metal behind this glass. So the glass has arrived in Basel, and we started to make actually one-to-one mock-up on our facade, and it's standing out there right now, and we're trying to test it, how it works over time. It has been detailed to quite a degree with our local facade consultants and engineers. We're trying to achieve a passive house standard with this project. So it's not just about how things look, but also obviously how they work. The facade will be made out of, itemized or panels that come where always some of them can be brought together in order to be quick as we mount it. And this is a picture where you see how we work on what is behind the glass. And that maybe goes back to Christian's notion earlier. Our belief is always, our architecture is never a big idea and then the detail comes out of it, but the detail is actually part of the first idea, and we need to understand the detail in order to believe in the overall. You also see that, through these logs, the glass shapes the wood. So the underside of those overhangs have this almost ornamental edge that goes into these glass logs. You see the terraces above the depth of certain parts of that building. That's a view from the front of the theater next door. But we also, of course, continued to work on the inside of the building. This is a picture from probably 2017 when the gallery came to Basel. That's also in our studio, where we worked on a very large-scale model in order to really discuss kind of every individual gallery. So here you see a part of the model that is, underneath here, where we really started to look at many details of the building. So we have these two floors here that have the theater, that have the offices. They're more transparent, and then from here on, the galleries that are more enclosed in the facade. We discussed at that time the possible facade expressions. It's very important, we have amazing tools in our profession now to work with computers, but nothing replaces the physical model, and the discussion about what is in a building can only happen actually on physical models, and that was one of these days there. So very quickly, I'm trying to get back to the functional layers of this building. It is almost like a vertical city. It is a mixed, an interesting, a city that is alive, is a city that is mixed. And basically this project is a very mixed use, mixed activity project, and in both dimensions, around the courtyard, but also into the vertical. So the restaurant is up here. There's another cafe down here. The theater is in the very heart of the building, so it's not just a classical theater like somewhere else in the underground, but it's actually a space with a window. Education is distributed throughout the whole building, etc. So plan of the ground floor low building, where you see again, we have art, we have the resource center on this level, we have a cafe on this level, there's a store there, but there's also back of house zones. So everything that is needed to kind of get into this building comes first through this low structure, and of course it activates these functions, activate the streetscape around. Important to mention, 2 galleries also here on ground floor that are free. So I think what has been said earlier is really, the gallery tries to make that happen, but the way they program this structure. To the right is the entry from Georgia Street. You see the corner with the cafe and a gallery. You see the scale of this umbrella that we looked at earlier. You see a stair that is an escape stair from the theater. So that came obviously with the refinement of the theater. 350 people that leave at the same time, so not many will go up there. Probably a lot of people will come out there, which is a beautiful moment also of activation. Oh, sorry. Series of pictures from inside. This is one of the 2 free galleries on the courtyard. Because there is a slope on this terrain, there is one half of the courtyard that is a very high spaces, so the galleries, and there is another part where the spaces are lower, which you'll see in a second. So here the whole structure is actually wood, and as a consequence also the ceiling of it. There's windows to the outside, very controlled, very limited, but there is a relation to the courtyard and the street. And that's on the other side with more open, more transparent, the resource center on Edie Street. The courtyard, of course, is the beginning of the museum visit. You can buy tickets there already, or you buy a ticket to an event that will happen later. And in the back, you start to identify the entry, what we call the entry pavilion. So one of the entrances to this courtyard from Kennedy Street is actually an enclosed space. It's at the same time the entry to the gallery. So, oh, sorry. Back here, you see QE. Back here is the street entry to the museum. If you happen not to want to go through the courtyard, you can just get in here and then down into the lobby, or you have come from another side into the courtyard and you enter at the same place. There's generous stairs throughout the project. Of course, there's also elevators for wherever you need to go. And the first experience is actually going down, as we did it within the Tate, or as you know, maybe from the Louvre. The first moment is to go down, because down there is the first large suite of galleries, and there is the lobby with all the indoor functions that have to do with starting a museum visit. In that lobby, there's 2 sunken gardens, so the presence of nature is there. Also down there, the presence of daylight. Down here, where the building is built out of concrete, which is where you see a similar structured ceiling as in the other one, on ground floor as in the pavilion, but it's made out of concrete. It's a very big footprint, very generous, a lot of galleries right at the beginning of your museum visit around this lobby, so 2 or 3 sequences. There's also the shop that you saw earlier on the picture, which goes down and extends down in the lobby. There's classrooms on this floor, and of course there's a connection to all the back of house functions. First view into one of those galleries down there, with that similar ceiling, with the presence of concrete walls in a couple of locations, in the lobby especially. But then in the galleries, it's a very traditional wooden floor, white wall architecture. Down here, some of those galleries have a relation to these sunken courtyards, as this one here. So the galleries have a punctured window that doesn't completely destroy the walls, but that gives you a moment of reality that is, if it's curated like this, of course that is not a finished exercise yet, what goes where, but there is one thought to have collection galleries down here and have this relation almost from a programmatical standpoint. That is this one very high gallery. It is important for us whenever we do museums that there is a range of spaces that artists can react to in different ways, and that there is not one type of gallery which is the Vancouver Art Gallery type of space, but that there is actually a variety of spaces that make a visit interesting, that make curating interesting, where artists can react to if we do contemporary projects. So this is actually this one gallery. We were seeing this situation, a kind of a non-transparent glass on the courtyard and on the street, and it has this double height as a surprise as you go through these seemingly underground galleries. So again, presence of daylight, although we're underground. So that's in the center of that whole floor plan that you saw. This is the place where the sunken garden is then shown almost as a kind of a terrarium, and that's also the location where you take your escalators as you move up through the building. So that's where we were. This is the garden, and there's a very long one-shot escalator that brings you to this space with the window that we saw earlier on. You have a very, you move basically from an experience of nature to an extreme experience of city. So not an escalator that is like in an open space like in a shopping center, but actually you move through a very contained space and you are experiencing nature. As you you arrive at this turning point of the escalator and you're actually in the theater lobby. So even the space around the theater is a generous space that is really not just some kind of foyer, but it's a space that relates to different outside orientations, and that is of course important for intermissions or even for programs of themselves. The theater, of course, also is not totally finished in its design, but it's basically a space that is flexible. 350 people can sit here, and the front part actually of the seats can be retracted to create, I'll show you this in a second picture, to create a bigger flat area, which is for performing arts of contemporary production sometimes more interesting than the pure frontal experience. And behind this curtain here, you would have a view on Kiwi Plaza or up West Georgia. But of course, you can close it as shown here, or then you open it. This is now a configuration when the seats are retracted in the front, and you create a large, flat stage that can be a performing arts space by itself, where the public is, together with the actors. As you move on, we're getting to level 4. That's the end of the escalators. From here on, you would then use elevators and stairs. We're getting into the bulk of the galleries. We have about, what was it? Yeah, in percentage, 40% of the galleries are in the zone that we have already seen down, and about 60% of the galleries are in the zone that we are looking at now. So, the gallery floors, 3 gallery floors, are all organized in a similar way. There is a central zone that we call the nave, where the circulation also happens, and then from there you get into suites of galleries. This level 4, the facade is here. The smallest of the footprints of these 4. This is a zone where you have excessive outdoor terraces that can also be programmed with art, obviously. That can be sculptured terraces, and that are places where people can go on certain events. Further up, the footprint becomes much bigger, so you have 2 suites that are really large, and this central nave again. It's very important. If you're in a big museum, you want to make sure that people can orient themselves, and so it's important to find simple ways to organize galleries, otherwise you're getting in a kind of a labyrinth. We have a variation of materials. You saw the one before. We're working with concrete on the floor with a seamless transition to the outdoor terraces. So this space will feel much more outdoors, whereas further up we're working with wooden floors. The whole structure out of the ground is built out of steel, the primary structural elements. So that's such a situation level 4, where you have galleries that have large windows to the terraces and then to the city, obviously. These windows can be closed temporarily for certain projects, can be reduced to 1 slot, which would then be, for example, similar than you saw them in the underground. So that level 4 is here. So we were on this floor where there's not so much galleries, but there's huge terraces around. And now we're going up to, up to here. So the central nave, the central orientation space where you find, all means of circulation. But it's the dimension of the space that is not just a corridor, it is in and of itself also a space that you can program with art, or where you can make performances. There's no corridors basically in this museum as you go up as a visitor. And then 2 big suites to the left and to the right. This central nave has also outdoor relation. Again, where in a museum you don't want too much windows in galleries, but you want visitors to experience what's the weather like and where am I. And so there's very specific moments where you have strong experiences of your city, like here as you go up. There is also up in the upper bulk of galleries, there is some that have an extra height, like this one, where again we work with daylight of a different sort. Classrooms are all educational programmatic points are spread throughout the building. There is things that happen down on the lobby level. There's classrooms that are just immediately next to the galleries on these upper floors. That was a very important decision that we took together with the gallery, obviously. Do we have an education center where you send the people to get educated? No. It was the idea to have this educational activity happen in the midst of everything. We spoke about this. There's, of course, places where you can make money as an institution, and this is, we're also trying to make this a pleasant experience, both the store, which has great stuff, but is a little bit compromised in your actual facility, will get a fabulous street exposure, and the restaurant, of course, in this location up here, but also the cafe on the street. The institution becomes more or, I mean, you are already very well known, of course. There's some better tools to do what you're doing. The restaurant, obviously, that is dominated by the view it gets. I mentioned the shop already, so that the kind of importance of real urbanity. And I finished with events. We could also say rentals. Obviously, every space can be used if you're creative, but the vision here is not to use the galleries, but to offer places that can be used for such events and that can help generate funds. And so there's a whole series of things. Obviously, the lobby, large lobby underground along the courtyard, but also the courtyard itself, of course, is a fabulous event space that people will probably stand in line to get it. Then the theater and the foyer around the theater, the terraces on level 4, and of course the restaurant on the top. All spaces where you can have different activities, and so the city will be in your building. That's the last shot of the space under the building, this potential event space, but this also public space that was the kind of core of everything. And of course it can be used for all kinds of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Simon, can you stand up? Simon de Meuron, he has been instrumental to this project.
It's been, I have to say, a wonderful journey collaborating with Christine and Simon and the whole team at Herzog de Meuron, so thank you so much. As was mentioned earlier, but it's worth repeating several times, the City of Vancouver has been a key leadership partner in all aspects of this project, including their generous donation of the parcel of land at Rosewood. I'm so pleased that Mayor Kennedy Stewart is here, several of our councillors, as well as senior city staff. So it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Mayor Kennedy Stewart.
Well, good morning. First, of course, I'd like to acknowledge we're on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, as Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh. What a fantastic day to be mayor, that's what I gotta say. This is great. I do want to acknowledge, of course, we've had the city councilors here. As you notice, our councilors working differently, and it's a collaborative effort. So I'd like to acknowledge Councilor Domino's here. We've had Councilor Fry, thanks, Councilor Bly, and Councilor Weave. And of course, we have, Councilor Kirby as well. I see you come in. Of course, Elizabeth Ball is here too, former Councilor Elizabeth Ball, who we all refer to on council as a great leader in our cultural community. So thanks for everything that you've done for us, Minister Bear, and of course, the Honorable Hetty Fry, who we know from Parliament and other endeavors. So it's really, you can see the level of support for this great new endeavor from all levels of government, which is very exciting. And of course, we have mentioned staff, but I think we really have to give a round of applause to city staff for everything they've been doing on this. I feel guilty because you inherit all this stuff as you come into office and all the hard work that all past councils have done to move this along. So we can best be caretakers of this and to make sure that we see it come to fruition. Also, just the volunteer effort that goes here and the generosity of the donors is just makes your head spin about how much work and generosity has gone into this and how many people believe in our city and really make it a place for everybody. And it's just, it's a really, really good day to be mayor, I gotta say. So it's a real pleasure to be here to talk about the new Vancouver Art Gallery. Of course, my wife Jeanette and I are members, and we enjoy the gallery. And when we saw the fantastic dresses the other day, and just we weren't sure what we were getting into, and we just couldn't leave. So that was a fantastic contribution, and kind of outside of the box, which is bringing new people in to explore things that maybe they wouldn't think of as art initially, and that's the kind of leadership that we need in the arts and culture community here. Today isn't just a great day for the Vancouver Art Gallery, it's also a great day, as Christian was saying, to celebrate our unique social fabric here in the city, about how, you know, it's multiculturalism personified, and it's a great signal to the rest of the world about how we can all work together and really maybe all just calm down a bit and enjoy some art. And I think that this would really, really help, so thanks. This gift, which is the largest of its kind in BC history, and you really think about, we're here in this room today and sharing with the audiences through the media what we're a part of today. This is the largest gift in BC's history in terms of arts and culture, and wow, that is, again, the generosity is just overwhelming. When people like the Chan family choose to stand up and give back to the community, and of course all the other donors that have been mentioned here today, again, just mind-blowing generosity here, it really helps strengthen our fabric here in the city, which constantly needs reinforcement, and to remind us of who we are and what we can be. So thank you very much. You know, we all love the city, and this really sends that kind of signal. So thanks again to the Chan family and the other donors here. And of course, it's never too late to get involved. So if you feel like, you know, a donation or encouraging some of your friends to pitch in, that's what's encouraging. The city is deeply committed to this project, and we hear it when we're talking, you know, in council, in the hallways. It's something we're really excited about, and this kind of leadership helps us move it to the next place. I was talking with the Premier yesterday, and the Art Gallery did come up in a very positive way. I'm going to Ottawa next week to talk to the Prime Minister about another great investment, SkyTrain to BBC. But we will be, you know, I will try to talk, and since I have an old MP pin kicking around, maybe Hetty and I can wander around the halls and see if we can kick up some more interest in an election year of getting some money for this. We're very committed to this. We give an operating grant of, we gave $2 million in 2018, which is the largest grant, civic cash grant given to nonprofit arts and cultural organizations. So I mean, we have been and will continue to be, or are continuing to be committed to this. As mentioned, we've also provided the land on Arwell Park, which is a contribution worth over $50 million. So that is, you know, the city feels like we're stepping up. I mean, we're always open to new ideas as well to see how we can make this come faster. And look, if you just walk through what we can experience here in the city, that reminds me of when we did the Vancouver Public Library. I mean, what that means. And my wife and I were there the other day, and you just think, wow, the buzz in that place, and what would it look without it? You can't even imagine. So what will this place look with, what will the city look like with this gallery? It's just fantastic. So, you know, we've got great collections here, but the ability to bring in other collections and expose us to other ideas around the world, it is important. So, you know, we can, let's face it, people get off cruise ships and like to come through this, and this helps generate revenue, but also now with a unique experience that local folks can experience is really important. My kind of art journey is that I grew up in rural Nova Scotia with really no art galleries, so I had really no exposure to art. When I moved to Vancouver, I was running a printing press in the basement downtown, and I would wander into the VAG, and I started to see all these things that I hadn't thought of. Then I moved to London in 1996 to do my PhD at the London School of Economics, the same year that they made most of the galleries free. And so the way that changed my life, I can't even tell you. That we would, you know, wander down the Herzog Gallery and we would talk to emerging artists and doing their PhD on Michelangelo's staircases or something, and it was just great. Or you see something like a sensation show where all the young British artists started to emerge and shock that country, and I hope we get this here. I hope this is a place where young folks get to wander through, and I love that there's free space, because you can find a favorite piece and you can just keep going back and going back and going back and thinking about it, and I think that's what this is going to allow the city to do, and encourage kind of conversations that are now not happening as much as they should do. So I am so excited about it. So on behalf of the City of Vancouver, the councillors, all those involved from staff, we want to congratulate on hitting what is a key milestone. And again, just breathe in this air for a second and remember we were all here when this happened, because it is so important. Thank you again to the Chan family for this, and not only for your bold commitment to the arts, but sending a message of bringing our social fabric together. So that is so important, and building this city that we all love. So thank you everybody for allowing me to come today, be part of this, and don't worry, we're going to be pushing as hard as we can to work with the partners to make sure this moves ahead. So thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stewart. And I have to tell you, we've had many mayor sightings in the gallery. People will call, we've seen him in the store, we've seen him in the gallery. So thank you for being so involved with the Vancouver Art Gallery and for your wonderful words. We'll be calling on you. You're a great fundraiser. I can already tell. So in closing, again, my deepest thanks to Christian and his family. And Christian and I were just talking, and he wanted to make it very clear, and I think it's important we all understand that the Chan family will be naming the building. They will not be renaming the Vancouver Art Gallery. The Vancouver Art Gallery will remain Vancouver Art Gallery. And their generosity is naming this magnificent building that you just saw. Thank you again, Christian. Thank you to our lead donors, to all of you for being here today. It's been a very exciting time for the institution. And I think we're all here because we have such a shared passion for Vancouver and for British Columbia, because it's an outstanding place to live, work, and play occasionally. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the gallery's Board of Trustees and our staff. Words simply cannot express what an honor it is for me to work with all of you every day and to realize the future vision for the Vancouver Art Gallery. Now I guess you're all imagining, like, what's next? Well, in the coming months, we will be working closely with our partners at the federal and provincial level to ensure that we secure the full support in order to move this project to groundbreaking. And of course, our private sector fundraising will continue in full force under the dynamic leadership of Lisa Turner and Jane Irwin. So I'm very excited about our continued work together. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I'm just so thrilled that Gordon Leslie Diamond, our honorary chairs of the campaign. It's just so exciting. Thank you, Jill, for being here, and extend my warm regards to your parents. So, thank you again all for coming, and I think now we're going to have a few questions from the media, and I think that's going to be moderated by Stephen Smart.
So, thanks, Catherine. So we do have time for a few questions from the media. Any other questions? Lots of time for that later. So, Johanny, who actually maybe Johanny, if you can just come up a little bit, has a mic, and perhaps we can get Christian, Kathleen, Christine and Lisa now on the stage as our spokespeople, and we'll take some questions for a few minutes. So, if you can just actually say your name so that they know who you are, that would be great.
Hi, Mr. Kathleen. My name is Julie Landry for Radio Canada, French CBC. Hi. So it's like maybe dull question after that big, nice conference. When, how much, I need numbers. So it was a $300 million project to be started in 2019. Where are we at with these?
Okay, I'll start. As Christine mentioned, we have been spending the last year primarily less focused on the design, but really focused on our fundraising. And all of our engagement with the community, which has been ongoing for many, many years, certainly working closely with our federal and provincial partners, always with the city, but to realize gifts that were announced today. And that takes much longer period of time than some people might think. So that's what we've been focusing on over the last year. Depending on the support that we receive and when we receive it from the provincial and federal government, we would like to begin, we're development permit ready. So as soon as that money is announced, then we would like to move forward as quickly as possible to complete the design development phase and start creating the construction documents. So if all would go well as we have planned, and we hope, we would like to start breaking ground at the end of this year or the beginning of 2020. And the project usually takes about 3 years for construction.
There's still $165 million to be found. Is it possible that it doesn't happen? I don't want to be the...
Oh no, that's not a possibility. Particularly, we have such amazing lead support that was demonstrated today from members of this community.
Any other media questions? You know what, I'll just probably use my microphone. Kevin Griffin, please.
From the Sun. I just want to get it clear on the name once it's completed. Will it be the Vancouver Art Gallery in the Chan Center?
No, it will be called the Vancouver Art Gallery. Sorry, the Vancouver Art Gallery. And the building itself will be named. So when you walk up, you'll see Vancouver Art Gallery and the building. And all of its locations, entrance locations, will be called the Chan Center for the Visual Arts.
Anyone else? Martin?
Oh, hi, Marcia Leon from the Globe and Mail. Can you explain what led to the changes in the design for the building?
My own. The biggest change is the skin that in parts became a glass skin compared to a full wooden facade before. I would say all the inside that has been developed is more refinement than change of design.
But why the change?
In the wood, from wood to glass? Different reasons. There was concerns about the aging of the wood, and so, which, you know, some people thought it was a problem, others were thinking not, but we took it up and we said, okay, if there is major concern about this, what other options do we see that could fit to this project? And as I said earlier, we're actually thinking it's a more interesting combination of materials now. It's less, it was a very kind of almost provocative at the time when we, you know, bought this 220 feet high wooden clad structure, and we didn't mean it as a provocation at the time. We were kind of, you know, believing in it, but I think with every project, you know, there's things that change with the people, with the places they are, and we're not at all thinking this is less good than it used to be.
Just go
for 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Christine. You know, I would just add to that, and we spent a lot of time consulting in the community, working closely with artists, stakeholders, our membership. We've traveled across the province and have had focus groups and community sessions. And all of those discussions really added to some of the changes that you might have seen today. I mean, looking at the courtyard and the accessibility of it. And I think even the skin itself and that change really speaks to the gallery, really wanting this building to be seen as a place for people to come in, to be visible. You can see what's going on inside from the outside. So that indoor-outdoor experience that Christine spoke about so beautifully in the gallery, we want people to experience that from the street as well. So I think that notion of openness and transparency was really, really critical.
And maybe if I can add one aspect, I think it is a bit more institutional now, but in the good sense of the word, you know. It's kind of crisper, you know, and this differentiation that you see, where are people, you know, where it's cut out, where it's carved out, basically, is where it's wood, where it's soft, and then where it kind of, you know, reflects also the surroundings. We all know, and you know, how beautiful Vancouver is at night, and that first image was, or one of the first images we were pulling out shows that, and so it will vibrate with its surrounding. It will kind of go away a little bit to a degree also. So there's many aspects on on why we thought, okay, the glass, not just intellectually because the rest of Vancouver is glass, but also really physically. And I guess you know we have experimented a lot with glass buildings of all sorts throughout, countries.
Just go with the middle there.
Sorry. Hi, Hadani Ditmars for Wallpaper and the Art Newspaper. There have been a lot of challenges in terms of fundraising, and it's very exciting to hear this news today. But my question, I guess, for Christine is, what has the biggest design challenge been in this process for you as an architect?
Well, we would have to go all the way back. We made at the beginning projects that weren't even all publicly known, that were super interesting, where we kind of said, okay, what if the whole plot, the whole city block would be part of this venture? So there were projects with high rise. We were really stretching the envelope at the beginning. Always under the discussion, like, what is this institution in the city, and how much can it, pull off or not? But since we kind of have this concept in place with this low, I never know this word, like the low framing of this pavilion on the ground of the courtyard, plus this vertical structure, since then, sounds a bit extreme, but there weren't that big challenges that were different from other projects. As an architect, you always have to, comply with the budget and find solutions that are cheaper as you go and things like this. But it was very smooth and very kind of more refining than changing, actually.
So I think we'll do one last question over here, and then if anybody else has follow-ups, come and see us afterwards, and we'll happily connect.
Hi, Zara Premji from CBC. A question for the Chan family, actually. It's an obvious question that I know you obviously have the answer for. Why do this? Why give this money? Why be a part of this? Why continue to give into this?
Well, I think it's a two-part answer. The first one is, as I mentioned, first of all, we love Canada. We built our company here. We have our family here. We want to contribute back to the community, and specifically believe in the power of cultural institutions to do that. As I mentioned before, we started with the Chan Center for the Performing Arts, and we want to continue that legacy because we believe in the immense public good and social benefit that these institutions provide.